Welcome to PTG TV. This is your host, Antonio Hicks, Mr. Escaping the Matrix, and I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back. I took a break off, which I'm sure y'all have already noticed that, because I have been gone for a couple of months, if not 3 already. And it was just for me to recoup, just get a breath of fresh air, just to get myself renovated, rejuvenated, restarted, come back with some new ideas, change the logo because I am revamping the logo. So y'all gonna see a couple of different logos pop up here and there. And I want y'all to weigh in on it too. So y'all let me know which ones that y'all like. I'm actually, wanting y'all to get more active in the community as a whole. So when I post videos, or the podcast episodes, that you all leave some comment, let me know what you think about it. Let me know what you think about some of the interviews. But I'm glad to be back. The reason I took a break, I know you always taking a break. I do take breaks sometimes, and I feel like we need to as content creators. Because like myself, I'm the only one that does the editing, and then I have other stuff that I'm trying to work on too. So between trying to do the content creation for the podcast, edit the podcast episode, of trying to get a business going with my other company, Engineering Tomorrow, and be active in that, and then trying to attract a new business. And then during the summer months, just spend some time with my family, because my son was out for the summer, which, he goes to SCAD. And then spend some time with my other son who came down from Michigan State. So I just took some time off. I think we all deserving of it. I understand what's being told to people is that you got to be consistent, you got to be active, you got to post all the time, because you don't want your audience to forget about you. And at the end of the day, I kind of feel that way to a degree, but I feel as though too that you have to restore yourself, and you can't be worried about what's going on. So as long as you're being consistent about posting episodes throughout the year, even if you take a short time off and you acknowledge it when you come back, it's kind of warm up here. I don't think anything wrong with it. Some people say otherwise, especially other successful content creators or podcasters, but me, it just kind of is what it is. And I'm trying to grow things out now. So I'm excited about this new season that's coming up. It's campaign season again. If y'all hadn't noticed that, I made a post about it on my Instagram. So if you're not following me on Instagram, you're kind of whack. But I did make a post about that because I was at Jerk Richardson's campaign kickoff, and I missed some of my other close friends' campaign kickoffs because I honestly have to work, and then I was doing stuff. When they had events going on, it was actually during the time I was doing stuff for my other business. So I miss theirs, and it's never intentional. And they know it's always out of love because I do stuff to support them as much as I can anyway when I have time to do the stuff I can do for them. But it's campaign season. And like I said on my podcast, don't let everybody come selling you the same snake oil, not podcast, my Instagram post. Don't come selling you the same snake oil that they've been selling you for the past couple of years, especially people that's been in office for a long time. And now they're trying to move it to a higher position from being like a commissioner to now wanting to be CEO of an actual county, or from commissioner going into the congressional seat, or if they're running for a Senate seat, or running for a local mayor seat. It's whatever. If they've been in office, go back and look at their track record. Do a performance improvement plan on them. Like, look and see what they have going on, making sure that they check all the boxes they're supposed to have checked off before they come back to you selling the same trash all over again. Because I heard somebody still talking about healthcare, and healthcare is important. Healthcare is important. And I'm not gonna spend this whole rant getting on political stuff. Just talking about the same stuff people have been talking about for the past umpteen years. Hell, even stuff that I talked about when I was running for office for healthcare, what is affordable living. And then, they didn't even mention nothing about, livable wage paying jobs. But if it's the same stuff, we have other higher things that we should be concerned about now too, outside of healthcare, because healthcare still is not affordable, because my healthcare costs too goddamn much, and I am not getting it from a company I'm paying for out of the own pocket. So that is something that we do have to work on. But there are still other new things that just popped up that we need to look at too. And I hadn't heard anybody, talk about it. The people I support, they have mentioned it. But some of the other people that I've been listening to, I ain't trying to hear it. So my only message to you all is, if somebody's coming to you with it, go to their website, look at what they have going on, and then from their website, go and do your own research and look at what bills they propose, what bills they have co-sponsored. And then I'm getting more into technology. So the first interview I do have coming up for this episode is Rich Gillam. Met him at the podcast summit for David Shands. Cool kid. He's a robotics engineer. He's also a published author. So he has 2 books out. One of the main ones out now is Engineer the Way, or Engineer. It's something Engineering the Way. So I'm excited to be interviewing him. He's a guy, I forget his background, but I don't forget his background. This man, he had like a 1.8. He had a low GPA average while he was in school. And he went from doing that to actually becoming a robotics engineer and actually becoming a published author. So I'm excited to have him on, even just for people to hear his story and to get his message out to you all, because if you can overcome, and he actually went to an HBCU, so if you can overcome having a low grade point average, like lower than the 2.0, and then you come back up and now you're actually into engineering. Y'all know I was talking about engineers. You're into an engineering field and you have 2 published books. I mean, you can't get no better than that. I mean, if that's not an inspiration to some of y'all out here in the youth or some of the adults that's out here, you can never look at your failures and use it as a means to measure where you're going to go in the future. You should always have your plans and preparations and stuff in place, and you should always strive towards it. We all gonna fail, but that's how you get better, right? You don't learn until you fall, and you learn from the mistakes that you've made, and you learn from trial and error. And from him overcoming the challenge that he overcame, from having a low grade point average, not be doing well in school, to being where he's at today, I think that's a major inspiration for you all to be tuned into and listening. And then, for this next season coming up, I really do want y'all to get more active. I want y'all to share more episodes, follow my stuff on social media, share that out there, get this podcast really out to the community, because that's where I'm getting all of my information from. I'm talking straight to the community. I'm looking at things that's being active. I don't care if it's about technology. I don't care if it's about the political stuff. I don't even care if it's about gaming that's going on, or even just the game of life, because I will be talking about actual video games. But they're actually really cool video games that's out right now. Like I'm playing right now, one is Starfield. I do love one I just finished up, and it was been out for a minute, like right after the pandemic, Cyberpunk. But they have a new DLC coming out with Idris Elba in there. So I am gonna be talking about video games, because I'm a nerd, and that's what nerds do. When we play games, we read mangas, we look at animes, we nerd out about technology, we learn about space exploration, nerd out about new AI that's coming out or that's being worked on and being invented, and we will learn about quantum computing to apply the AI towards that. So I'm gonna bring you tons of topics with tons of guests coming on to talk about those very things. And my focus for this season is learning how you can apply those things towards your own life and help enrich you and give you more knowledge to help you develop the things that you want to do in your starting businesses and relationships, and helping you overall mentally, spiritually, and physically, and financially. Because everybody going through a struggle, especially during these times. If we didn't have the recession like they projected, but stuff is still expensive as hell, and jobs really aren't giving out the pay increases or the wages like they're supposed to. And they keep pumping this stuff into the news that, there's all these jobs out here. Cap. If they are, they're not hiring people for them. Or you gotta really know somebody, which I still believe that. You really gotta know somebody to get on the inside. So I am glad to be back again. I know I went on this little ramble before we got started with this week's episode, but I miss everybody. I'm glad to be back. I'm trying to get back into streaming, because I do miss my streaming community and playing some video games at nighttime to kind of wind down for the night. I mean, what better way to spend your evening than with Matrix? To come out, hang out with me, play some video games, shoot the crap, have a good drink, have some good conversations, talk about whatever, and then while we play some, have some good content playing some video games, or maybe turn in and look at some YouTube stuff, or some anime before I get kicked off of it and then block it out. But yeah, I am getting back into streaming, but like I said, I did miss you all. Sorry for the long rant. Just got to explain myself, because I took the break because I needed it mentally, because I was busy and I needed time just to revamp myself. Because one thing I will say for sure, especially when, all the stuff I did running for office and being active in the community, is that you need your own mental health breaks, and you got to take time out for yourself. And again, I know people will say otherwise, that you got to always be consistent about your podcast episodes and getting your content out, because the algorithm, whatever, bro. At the end of the day, I'm gonna do what I gotta do to make sure I can push my content out there and make sure y'all get what y'all wanna listen to. But I think we all need to take some breaks sometimes, even if you have your own personal business. Bring an employee in to help manage stuff, so you can take a week off or take 2 weeks off and then get back into it again. So, because you gotta protect your mind mentally, because if you ain't there mentally, you definitely ain't gonna be there physically. And if you're not there mentally and physically, stuff gonna start failing, and then the ultimate business gonna start suffering. And the last thing you wanna do is start having the vision and the things that you work for start going downhill because you haven't been taking care of yourself. So glad to be back. Thank y'all for tuning in. Matrix is out. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe to this channel and share this episode. I think this guy is a great guy, and his name needs to be put out there. Same as other people I had on my show. I mean, I don't have no simps on this show. Even if people locally, it's people internationally. I ain't slouching when it comes to people on this show. I might not be that big now, but I will be this year. So this is Matrix again for PTG TV. Love y'all. Enjoy this next episode. Here at Dave Shan's Podcast Summit, I got here my guest today, Mr. Rich Richnovated. To have a real talk on, I said, real talking conversations, talking about him working in the STEM field and what it's like being a black person. Because I always talk about that on my channel too, you know, being black in tech space and what this meant for him. Because I'm not still being a network security engineer. I'm the only one that exists within my lab. So, you know, thank you for coming on and, you know, let's break it down.
Yeah, for sure, bro. I appreciate you having me, man.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so yeah, again, my name is Richnovated. My full name is Rich Gillam. I go by Richnovated. That's my brand name. I'm originally from Philly, North Philly to be exact.
Shout out Philly. They ain't better than Atlanta, but shout out Philly.
Hey, nah, it's all love, man. Yeah, so I was born and raised in Philly, man. You know, I grew up. You know, I had a 1.8 GPA in high school, right? Really lacked motivation and, you know, growing up, stuff like that. But Philly is who made me who I am today, right?
Okay.
So having that 1.8 GPA in high school, I ended up going to college in North Carolina, in Raleigh, North Carolina. You know, St. Augustine's University. Shout out to St. Aug, HBCU.
But let's talk about it. You said you got a 1.8.
1.8, bro.
So how did you get into school? Like, did you go there? Academic probation?
Man, St. Aug gave me a chance, bro. Like, that's all I can say. Like, St. Aug gave me a chance, right? They really, and the crazy thing is that 1.8 became a 1.8 my senior year in high school. I really had like a 1.4. Whereas my senior year, I like really, I guess, kind of got it together, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, St. Aug gave me a chance. I mean, when I wasn't on academic probation, but like, I was like, when I got to school, I had to take like a pre-college algebra before I can get into actual college algebra. So yeah, I got to school and you know, my freshman year, man, it's just like really, I guess, seeing my mom, like how, you know, my mom just really supported me and wanted me to kind of, you know, she was on payment plans, like paying for me to, you know, get through school. So really seeing that, man, that just really motivated me. And then like after like my you know, my freshman year, I really started to get like scholarships and stuff like that.
So you come from a 2-parent household or 1-parent household?
I come from a 1-parent household.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, but you know, having my mom really, you know, really be there for me and supporting me, that really gave me that drive and that motivation. And that's all part of my story, right? You know, once I got to school, I studied biology. You know, and my
So no, yeah, but because I want to get into that. So you and I was talking back in during one of the conferences out of there.
Yeah.
And yeah, we, like I said, we're at the podcast summit, and the last speaker was about brand management. But yeah, we were talking, and he was saying that he's in biology now. But now I'm curious about it because if you was in school with a one, and I'm like, I hate to keep emphasizing on his GPA.
Bro, hey, I am transparent about everything because that's where I was, right? That's not where I'm at today.
Exactly. So that's that is the question. So when you had the 1.8, you wasn't really focused on school.
No, not at all, bro.
So how did you go from a 1.8 to now being into biology? Because chemistry ain't no punk.
Yeah.
So you
like I said, it was really my mom, man. My mom gave everything she had to really support me and being on those payment plans, man. And just like, and also another thing I would say, you know, you know, I coach the youth. I'm a mentor, different stuff like that. Something that I always, you know, tell the youth that I really think is important is just being able to experience different cultures and different environments, right?
Right.
Like I said, I'm from North Philly, bro. I came to North Carolina for college.
Yeah, he came
that
to the
was
South.
completely different.
Yeah.
That was completely different. So just experiencing North Carolina, experiencing different people, really had a positive effect on my life. Also being in college and you know, experiencing internships. That was really helpful for me for like, you know, going to different internships at a young age, my sophomore and junior year, being able to be exposed to different cultures, different stuff like that, that really made me to the person that I am today and gave me that drive and that motivation.
So let's talk about that transition because there is a motivation for some of the youth that are not really thinking about school and especially if they're not thinking that college is for them.
Yeah.
So you went from the low GPA, you're not really concerned about school, you're just out there existing in the classroom itself,
Yeah.
to actually desiring to go to college because you saw the struggle of your mom, and I commend you for that. But to actually honoring your mother and looking at her and seeing that you don't want her to continue to go through some stuff. So now you're in college, and now you want to go to biology, and now from biology you start working in the lab, and from the lab you got into robotics automation, and that's why I want to interview brother because y'all always hear me talk about it on my show. Shout out to the black engineers. I'm an engineer, and I try to encourage anybody they can, especially us, to get into the engineering field. So, how was that transition?
Yeah, man. I'm really a disciplined person and a self-determined person. If I put something in my mind, and I always say, if you have something pop up in your head, it don't pop up in your head for no reason, right? So I originally studied biology in college. I guess to take a little step back, right? When I first got to college, I didn't know what I wanted to study, but I remember talking to my mom. My mom was like, in high school, I did my senior high school project on kidney disease. My aunt passed away from kidney disease, so I had a real passion when I was doing that project.
Okay.
So my mom was like, "Yeah, you really enjoyed biology and going through all that stuff. You should study biology." So I chose biology, right? And I studied biology. I like doing, the science and doing the research and stuff like that. So when I finished college back in 2015. I was a scientist. I was doing neuroscience research, right? I was doing neuroscience research with the NIH. It was cool. I got a publication out of it, stuff like that. I fell on my feet, right? I fell on my feet because my PI, it was grant funded. My PI, she lost funding, so I was kind of out of the boat, right?
Yeah.
So when I left there, I went to another company, called LabCorp, and sometimes a door closes on you, but an even better one opens, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that's what kind of happened to me. Like I really, I fell into the field of lab automation. It introduced to me, this was back in 2017, and I was still like a scientist running experiments on it. But after about a year and a half, I had a moment where I was like, yo, this is 2017. I'm doing experiments and stuff on this stuff. Why don't I try to learn the ins and outs of these instruments? I'm tired of doing repetitive, the same type of stuff every day on this, on these instruments. My role sounds cool when I tell people, but am I really feeling fulfilled? I need to be in something that I feel like I'm doing something different every day. So I just took the initiative, when the vendor might come in to kind of, service the equipment. I'm just shadowing them. I'm a student of the game. I'm learning all the different things that I can learn. So then I was able to take that experience, finesse up my resume a little bit. Then I was able to get a full-blown position, as an automation engineer within R&D. And my first position was in 2019, and I've been in the field now for about going on 4 years.
That's good, man. That's the thing I try to tell people a lot. Is this, if it's something that you want, you got to go for it. And you got to be hungry for that knowledge. Because even when you're working in the STEM field, that curiosity has to have already been there early on. And you may develop it later on in life, but you find out that that's where you're passionate about because it's something that you had a desire to do even when you was younger.
Yeah.
And the fact that you actually sought out, like, because I myself do the same, I did the same thing too in my career path. Like, you always have your parents that you want to look up to, but I've always sought out somebody that was doing better than me. And they were in a position to where I wanted to be at or learn how to get to something to where the similar to theirs, if not better.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. So where can people find you at?
Yeah, for sure, man. So
again, he got a podcast too, and he got a business.
Yeah, for sure. So my business is STEM Plugs, STEM education business. I do everything from talking to the youth about STEM to I have a children's book called Diversity in STEM that is on Amazon right now. I also do coaching. So you can check out my website, stemplug.net. You can follow me on social media. My Instagram is Richnovated, RICHNOVATED. And also, check out the STEM Plug podcast, right? STEM Plug podcast is on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. And on the STEM Plug podcast, man, it's just a podcast to really, plug in all different areas of science, technology, engineering, and math, right?
Yeah.
So I have a lot of cool guests that get on and just really plug in their field. Like I had one person talk about, the field of holistic science, had another person talk about cybersecurity, just had somebody talk about AI. So we going into the educational part, but we also, you know, having fun and entertainment as well,
absolutely,
right?
yeah.
I feel like it's important really to, you know, it's cool to have that technical knowledge, but you have to be able to break it down to somebody that's not even in the field, right? And they
Right.
can still understand it, and now they can want to dive into it even deeper.
That's across behind PTG TV.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad to check in, man. I'm also going into, you know, talking about community work. I'm the president of the National Society of Black Engineers chapter in RTP, North Carolina. So definitely make sure you tap in with NSBE. NSBE is an amazing organization that, you know, has an amazing mission of, you know, just continuing to grow Black engineers. So just make sure you tap in and love to plug in.
All right. One thing I ask my guests though, to leave us with something positive for the community.
Right, sure. So you just want like a quote or which?
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like we surrounded by so much chaos. So especially on social media, all you see is like the troubles of life, but you don't really necessarily see a lot of the good stuff outside of stuff you're trying to aspire to. So yeah, I ask my guests to come on, just leave a positive word. It can be
for sure. You know, one thing I always like to say, man, is just like I always like to say, your imagination is the biggest nation, man. If you ever have an idea or something pop up in your head, like, you know, don't take that for granted. Like that idea wouldn't pop up in your head for no reason, right?
Right, it's a download.
For real. So it's like, you know, people go to the graveyard with their dreams and ambitions. The biggest dreams are in the graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have an idea or a passion or something that you're thinking about that you want to do, you know, just go for it, right?
Right.
You know, I recently published my book a year ago, Diversity in STEM, and I slept on that idea for years since I graduated, until I actually got in a car accident in 2019 and almost lost my life. And I feel like I did lose my life because I became a new person where, you know, any idea, any dream, any ambition that I have that pops up in my head, I'm gonna go after it. So, you know, one thing I just want to leave your guests for is just, you know, your imagination is the biggest nation. You know, those different ideas that you have in your head, just chase them, man.
Yeah, okay, that's cool, and I want to piggyback off of that because only limits that you have are the limits that you set upon yourself. So if it's a dream that you're trying to go towards it. Don't let the dream just go away and sleep in the night. Open your eyes up, work towards it, and put some plans into place to make that dream come into fruition. So one thing I like to always leave my guests with: make sure you take your L's for the day. You live, love, and laugh. You live for the moment, laugh about the things you have no control over, and you just lead and love with your heart. So this is Antonio Hicks again, Mr. AKA Escaping the Matrix. You can find all of my stuff on PGTTV.online. I want to thank Rich for coming on again, and make sure y'all, you know, follow up, stay tuned for the next season coming out. Peace out.